What's up, everyone, and welcome to the LCS and the LCS waiting room. Today, we are joined by first-time caller Freak. That's actually maybe a little bit of a lie.
Yeah,
you made a brief appearance
I spent
before.
too long back there, like, being annoying and trolling Emily,
Right.
and I want to say I apologize for, I thought it was funny. I wore out my welcome. Now I'm here to make
the
amends.
classic Freak. I thought it was funny, but I wore out my welcome.
Yeah, exactly. I'm at least on brand.
We enjoyed it. We're glad to have you here for the entire waiting room this time around. You're all jumping in the midst of a very heated debate between which of the two tweets thrown out by Mark Z and Raz are better.
Which is
kick off
mine.
today. Freak's in there. He's in the running, I guess. So
No,
feel free
he's
to go
not.
online and engage with those. In the meantime, though, we're going to start off with a big, hard-hitting question straight from the community. And it is, what is more meta for the casters and analysts? Is it putting on your socks before your pants or your pants before your socks? Samus Juju brings us that one.
I assume this means like when we're getting to show clothes.
Yeah.
Not, like in the morning.
Do with the question as you will.
Yeah, so when I get dressed in the morning, it's almost, I think it's pants first almost always. It depends though, like
Yeah,
once in a while, the pants I'm gonna wear aren't in the room.
Because actually, hold on, I'm going to jump back in here, Mark. The fact that you had to make that distinction, does that mean you have different approaches? At home, you're like pants first, socks later, and here your socks
Here's
first,
where my
pants
mind was at, because I'm with you. I always do pants first, then socks,
Yeah.
and I think it's like for coordinating, that can make some sense. But show pants, especially like suit pants, not quite as flexible, and I'm often like doing it on the ground, and it's like, I might rip something. So I actually think I should start doing socks before pants.
I got thoughts, but I want Raz in here.
I have a confession.
Okay. Oh, boy.
My socks are like 30 seconds before I leave the door. And I just, if I find, like this one's black, this one's like random patterns.
Yeah, wait, what the hell?
Random
Yeah, he's
patterns.
got patterns
black,
on
just
that.
have
At
stuff
least
on
it's
it.
black, because
That's
most of the
ridiculous.
time
That's
it's
true.
like one's orange,
Two
the
socks.
other one's
Yeah,
purple.
that just looks
I
like
just don't
that's
care.
a choice, and it's acceptable,
Thank
I
you.
guess, in this
Thank you.
situation.
It is a style of laziness.
So I actually have to agree with Mark. When I'm at home and dressing like casually, jeans, sweats, whatever, going out, I will go pants first, socks after. However, I think it is hugely important when you are wearing a suit to go dress socks first because of how much higher they run and the fact that when you slip pants on over it, you're still good. But if you put
James,
socks...
I got a life hack for you. You see, you can roll up the pant leg.
Yeah.
Is that a
Big
taco
no, no, no.
sock?
Your sock doesn't go high enough. Watch.
It says tacos on it.
No.
We can't see that.
If
It's okay.
if I do that and then try and pull down, maybe your calves aren't as large
I
as
feel
mine.
like this is an excuse
Maybe
to
it's an
show off
issue
your
of calves.
Dash
But
is like-
see how this is scrunching? It cannot be done, and it ruins. And then you have this little bump right
Dash
there.
is like,
so it's
hey, guys,
always
let me show you
socks
something really
first.
cool.
Maybe
I
don't
used to
wear
run
such
track.
skinny
Did anyone
jeans.
know that my name Dash comes from my calves?
Look at
All right, we've spent longer than we should have on that comment,
Yes.
but thank you so much for it. Big news for North America and solo queue, with Champions Queue being released just recently. Had our
Let's
first
go.
week in here. Blazolve tweeted out, I don't want to overreact, but NA is guaranteed winning worlds because of Champions Queue. I'm going to take that as gospel. But generally, I just wanted to get thoughts on the release of this queue, and obviously it's in development and will continue to evolve.
2 thumbs up. I think it's great. I can't wait for Showmaker and Chovy to come over to NA to practice in Champions Queue. It's a better environment than Korean solo queue, I'm pretty sure. So, you know, it's gonna be great. We're getting the off-season boot camps in LA, and they'll just stay. You know, like Chovy's gonna come over
the
for
global
Worlds.
super service.
He'll stay for Champions Queue, and then just stay on TSM. You know, like we'll just get it, and then we'll win Worlds the next year as well.
I feel like you can't have overreact content with Freak here because he's just going to outpace you. Like, you can't do it.
Keep up, Raz.
Let me give you the underreact content.
Okay,
I
please.
just think it's cool to see. It's something that for North America, taking it serious, that it was a problem people complain about forever. The ping situation, the quality of solo queue times, for example. There's been a litany of issues that people have given for why solo queue in NA has been problematic. This is a great effort by Riot to not only try and solve that, but then incentivize people to really take it seriously.
Yeah, and so like, as you can see in the leaderboard here so far, like Kumo tied up with jojopyun. You already see like a lot of high-ranking players, or at least LCS players here. Blazolve, who was already in the tweet. LeTigress, who's there, so the Golden Guardians boys are pretty high up. Like Johnson. What I just love the fact is that there's so much content out there. There's so many people streaming it. There are a lot of LCS players that I didn't actually see play in general. What's it called? The initial push, right?
Yeah.
The initial push before Champions Queue came in, right? Of in-houses. And now you're just seeing all of them. You're seeing Impact, You're seeing Core JJ. You're seeing all of the best players. Santorin, who's being able to play in some of these, which is just great for amateur players, LLA players who are now in this server. It's just a lot of great practice. You get to hear the comms, see what they're doing, and learn from it.
For me, it's a perfect marrying of a lot of things that we've just discussed, right? The core issue to begin with, the complaints that had happened, and that this was a reaction to that.
Yeah.
But to be able to take Core JJ's in-houses kind of as a model of like, all right, that's actually a system that appears like it's working. How do we actually invest into it, give it the resources it needs to make it worthwhile? And then, yeah, everything from seeing current pros on this list, but also what I'm excited for is those people who make their name through this.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. The prize pool being a big part of why people should hopefully go hard. But like, if you're climbing in solo queue, you can potentially get onto this and really stand out. There's scouting benefits for pro teams because you get to watch this communication from solo queue people who you would not have seen before, as well as the fact that like, I think this will just get better with time. It's not perfect yet. I don't think anyone's pretending it is.
Yeah.
Like, people have talked about the LP. They've talked about maybe people being a little too low rated who are still getting in. But Riot is actively working on this still and will continue to have improvements.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry, please.
No, yeah, I was about to say that there are some like names, as you had mentioned, like RJS, Surdy, like players, Cowrie, who are in Academy or playing through. There's one Supernova player who was there. Like, it's just great to be able to get your name out there with this type of content. Of course, this is the first few days, but seeing if they get those points at the end of their split, right, and if they actually get the money and recognition for it.
I'm going to place a bet that we're going to see 2 more LLA imports next year. Because people are going to get,
snap.
like, oh, okay, I understand who the good players are. I want to play with this guy. He's like, we're going to see 2.
All right, there it is.
There's
Mark
Flip
Freak's
it,
words.
save
Mark
it.
Freak's words.
Yeah.
All right, now let's transition back towards the LCS and this week. We moved to patch 12.3. Up here, you can see a brief overview of a number of the changes that were made to champions, lanes, all that kind of stuff. Largely, just wanted to turn to you three and see what, if anything, you felt like was the most impactful. Freak, I'm going to start with Freak here.
Yes,
Freak is my
I
patch
love
guy,
patch.
basically. Exactly.
Yeah, I am a Corki LeBlanc TF. The top 3 in mid lane are dead, so Victor 100% pick ban. Thank you very much. Zeri is down, but still very good. Caitlyn probably going to be gone. The big thing for me is fighter item updates. So some of the jungle fighters can still go Sterix Gauge. For most of them, though, you should be going Death's Dance and Moss second and third. Kind of pick and choose among them. GA can fit there somewhere, but Sterix Gauge for most fighters should not be your second item. Hop off that one and go Death's Dance or Hex Drink or whatever to kind of tailor your defenses. Those are the better items.
I know you got some thoughts on Ma.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like the fact that Ma's been feeling like so useless for so long, and then now the fact that it scales off of bonus AD is such a big buff. Because Hex Drinker has always been good, but it's always been an issue of like, okay, well,
where do I go with it?
Yeah, where do I go with it? Like, it feels useless. Wit's End has been better for so long, and now that the actual upgrade to Hex Drinker is so useful, you're starting to see a lot more of them. Like, I'm seeing Jace in the LEC like pick it up. I think Alfari went it earlier on. You're seeing the same thing with ADs if they're just double AP compositions like you're already expecting. So it's just nice to see this item that's been in the game for so long really have that breath of fresh air.
Do we have a Ahri one? Can we hot swap to Ahri? Do we have that?
We do have. Well, we have an Ahri graphic, but it is Power of Evil, I believe. As
Oh,
he
there
tweeted
it
out,
is.
hey, I'm sorry to
Okay.
all Ahri mains if she gets nerfed. This is why we know why. 15-1, crazy performance by him. Mark, I'll let you kind of give the overview of what happened with Ahri, but I think there are questions about whether or not it's enough to have her make it.
She's in there.
She
She's
is?
all
Okay.
over Academy right now. I was casting that this week. She got reworked, air quotes. It was a lot of like the same identity, but exactly how things work is slightly different. So the big one, I think, is some of the resets that come in with her abilities now. Her ultimate, if she gets a takedown within 3 seconds of dealing damage to a champion, they die. She will get another charge of her ult, and the duration gets increased another 10 seconds for when she wants to use that. So she has this really extended period of mobility. Her essence left, her passive is more about last hitting now than just hitting minions. So you do have to have a little bit better CS, but you can kind of pick that up through laning phase. She's less tied to hitting her charm now because that used to be a damage amplifier. Now there's just more stats thrown into the rest of her damage. And importantly, her W only costs 25 mana, and they increased the logic on it. So a lot of people actually start W max, or not W max,
W
they
at
start
1.
W at 1, and you just spam that, and it now has the move speed on it. So you can run around a lot faster. It's like the same champ in a lot of ways, but also with a ton of little tweaks.
That's the big one. The fact that this champion, the reset that's involved in team fights is going to be important. But then now the fact that you can have that added sustain in, like, not only the HP sustain in lanes by just farming properly, you can do it just through autos, but then of course, like, the mana sustain. The fact that you just don't have, like, you have a much lower cast on W in terms of your mana cost. Of course, Q, once you rank it up, is a higher mana consumption, but it's now just much easier for Ahri's in lane.
I mean, so I'm definitely curious because, as you mentioned, we've seen it in Academy. I haven't caught all of the LEC games today, but yesterday she didn't make an appearance, and so I'm wondering what.
Well, is that a surprise? Europe's always so slow to adapt.
So behind the meta. Yeah, I'm just curious, right? Again, what it'll take for it to jump from Academy up to Pro. Maybe we'll see it today. From here, I'm going to jump to a question perhaps posed by Jat on the Josh Leesman experience.
Wow.
Was this the most interesting week 1 we ever had? Last week, opening week of the 2022 LCS Spring season. Does anyone have any immediate thoughts, a gut on whether or not it was?
Yes. I'll go. I'll join. I assume he said yes. I don't know. I don't watch his stuff. Did he say yes? Did anyone know?
Did anyone watch his stuff?
Yes,
he said yes.
No, I think it's understandable given the fact that a lot of new players joined the scene. There's a lot of young players you're excited to see. The meta's been really interesting. FlyQuest and C9. There's the top dogs that you're just interested in seeing because they're good, like EG, TL, and 100 Thieves. Dignitas is being a little bit of a surprise. Like, there's so many storylines around every single team that most of the games are going to be entertaining, whether it's meta, new players, or just quality of game.
Exactly. I think everyone's eyes will always focus on like the Cloud9 experiment, right? Having LS and the drafts that come with it, and the point that he's making with Enchantress through mid lane. That is one thing that's always going to be fun. But also just there are so many like imports with risks attached to them. Like Tukui with FlyQuest, right? And the fact that they had their own thing playing Smite top laners. But then of course with TSM, there are so many TSM fans. But this is a weird split where you're like, okay, well, we don't know because they didn't just pick up all the best players or something like that and expect success out right up from the get-go. They're picking up like risks from like LDL players, from China. And so you naturally, as a TSM fan and if a fan of just League of Legends competitively, you want to see if they are successful with that gambit because it's the first time where you're like picking unproven players from China. So there's a lot of great storylines with each team, it feels like.
I'll toot Riot's own horn a little bit too. Production has been really good. I like a lot of the hype pieces.
Yeah, right.
Yes. There was universal praise, it felt like, on Twitter, on Reddit for the LCS, and I know that's not always the case. So like that felt. I'm just saying, like there's the elephant in the room a little bit. Like it was a great week across the board, not just the in-game stuff, but the out-of-game stuff. I thought was really good as well.
Yeah, I just like that TSM is doing their best to BCLG and going for the 10th place both leagues. We keep getting, it just keeps moving around. You know,
I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
I was waiting for
I'm waiting for the
freak to come out. I definitely, there's, to try and, I don't know, to maybe play devil's advocate, because I actually do think it's been wildly exciting, right? But I think the thing that I'd want to couch is like a lot of times, it's more about whether or not it stays static like this, right? Yes. Like, we will reflect differently on week 1, I think, if week 2 plays almost the exact same way, right? Obviously, we have a patch change. There's a lot of reasons why it should look different, but if it just kind of feels like, oh, FlyQuest is only ever gonna play Janna top, like, I'm eventually gonna get sick of that. Oh, this, like, I guess there's a world in which it starts to feel stale as opposed to what feels fresh and brand new right now. I don't know. I'm arguing against my own belief at the moment.
I see that. So I see that. However, I would still argue, even if that is true, well, we have a wildly different team in FlyQuest. We have a wildly different team in Cloud9. We have a wildly different team in 100 Thieves, right, who always plays bot lane. Like,
you at least look at some of everything.
Even if they are going to be like monolith teams, you've got like 5 different monoliths, right, which is like way more interesting.
And then you get to see how those interact.
Right, which is great overall. Like the fact that we have so many competitive teams, like, okay, aside from Immortals and Contracts, like, all of the LCS is doing really, really well. It feels like I'm a fan of all the teams and players who are doing really well. I'm sorry, but like that's just true.
It's true.
Like that's exciting because like Dig EG is going to be a great match. Cloud9 TL is going to be an outstanding match, right? Like there's so many good games out there, even if you didn't expect these teams to all be like firing.
In reality, for me, what is exciting about this split is it does feel like a number of teams changed or altered their philosophies between what has maybe been long-standing for them and now, right? I mean, Cloud9 changing of the guard. Obviously, Reaper was gone last year, but it really feels like with the introduction of LS and the lane swaps, like, boom, we're going a totally new direction, new way. TSM, we've already spoken about it. And so for a lot of these teams, it's about putting their chips, all in on something and watching it pay off or not pay off.
Which is so cool.
And it makes middle of the card matches far more exciting to watch than in the past. Because you're right, the fear is that when you get to week 2, week 3, there are going to be teams that are like, well, actually, this is just the right way to play the game.
Yeah.
And so, like, a good example is, like, IMT Academy. I saw Pretty starting to play Ivern mid. And you're like, okay, if everyone just becomes an Ivern mid player, I can see that as...
I'm going to start to hate that real fast.
We're going to have so we'll see what that turns into.
Yeah, I think as well as the placings of the teams, Dig being 2-0,
yes,
being 2-0, like, you want to see that continue. So to that point where you're like, well, what if it stays the same? I'd be like, I'd be stunned, actually.
Right. All right, well, okay, perfect transition to this next one that comes to us from Stripes on Twitter. It says, with 2-0 weeks from teams like C9 and Dig, how competitive will the league as a whole be throughout the year? And is this the best LCS has ever been to watch? So we've, in some senses, touched on that with the most interesting piece. But when it comes to competitiveness, I think the point you were making, Mark, kind of stands where it's like, you wonder, is this 2-0 Dig an anomaly, right? And they'll fall to earth, and we might go back to that old, oh, TL, TSM, Cloud9 are very good, 100 Thieves are very good, and the other teams just kind of filter down to the bottom? Or will there continue to be surprises like this and a bunch of jostling within the standings? Freak?
I mean, I think Dignitas are in there, right? Like, Dignitas to me are still a top 5 team, right? Like, they were 5th for me coming into the split. They're still 5th place for me. Like, I think they're a great team. Cloud9 are doing better than I expected. I had them as 4th. Maybe they're 1st or 2nd at this point. And then I, had belief in CLG. That's waning a little bit. So like, to me, like, the whole, like, 6 through 10 conversation is wide open because, again, Immortal's looking a bit weak, Stil's looking a bit weak, TSM is 0-2 start, but on a tough schedule, like, all those squads can make that play. FlyQuest as well, right?
And I always feel like what makes this league exciting is if, like, the lower tier teams still have a player that has incredible talent that can, like, bring you a game. So, like, to the point about CLG's, like, the faith in that one waning, sure, I agree. But at least, like, I have faith that there will be a game that they pick up just because Luger and Poom have a strong bot lane win, and that they can play through that, like, discipline, or discipline enough to pick up a win. So that's where I kind of sneak that in.
My only one that's always hard when people talk about the most competitive split ever is I'm like, did you watch 2018 Spring where there were, like, I think it was 6 teams at 12-8 or whatever it was? Or,
what did you coin it?
12-6, yeah.
I don't remember. Did I coin it?
The soup.
Was that the year of the soup?
Was
that the year of the soup?
Horrible.
The year of the soup.
The year.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, you thought you could leave that one.
Yeah,
huh?
what kind of soup was it?
Was
that chowder?
Anyways, my
Chowdery
point
soup?
is,
FLICKR?
There's been some competitive splits before, all right? Some really competitive ones, and let's not go there.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
soup.
I like this one coming from Thomas S. Baker, kind of as a thought experiment here. So off of purely what we've seen, I know it says heading into week 3. We're going to go off of week 1. So off of only games that you have seen out of players, not projections of how good they'll be. Build your all-pro team right now.
Oh, snap.
So if you had to field a team today off of purely what you've seen out of them in 2022, who are the people you're jumping to?
I already give you a bot lane.
Okay, you've got a bot lane already for me?
I got a bot lane already. It's going to be FBI and Vulcan. That's what I would have
FBI and Vulcan.
Right now. Okay. I'll give it time.
Okay, FBI and Vulcan. Maybe who would you pair with FBI and Vulcan?
Oh, I mean, I would replace him with Huhi and Berserker.
Okay, well, assistant coach Raz has been benched. Head coach Freak is coming in.
Fired is a free choice.
There we go.
Summit, I think, is a pretty free choice. Yeah. Like, that's easy. And then you get a mid lane.
I got a totally different one. I'm going Kumo, Fudge, Blabber. It's the support the
Blabber.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Okay, so the top side's also supported.
Kumo has 120 CS across 2 games, all right? Hey. That's what I like to see out of my top laner.
Triple digits, baby.
That's too many. That's too many.
Yeah, actually, starting to wonder, did he spend too much time top lane at that point? All right, that's a fun exercise. That's, of course, I think all we have for Waiting Room today. I do want to make sure we have plenty of time to dive into the topics themselves and the matchups at hand, given that it is one of the most exciting splits or starts that we've had in a split so far. We'll be back in just a moment to kick off the day.
It's 5v4, Fakegod just gets no, he gets 1, he gets Ahri, he gets out for now. Dignitas Barons in 2022.
My impressions for the first week of LCS.
Right Stalker right back in his pin, it's gonna be claimed by Yono and FlyQuest.
It's been like really crazy actually.
Knock, 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 who's that? It's Flippo Team Liquid. Hey.
And it's hard to like keep track of everything that each team is gonna do, especially C9. I feel like C9 are just surprising everywhere.
Blabber fears no man, fears nothing at all when you got 2 different enchanters backing you up.
I think we'll pick very, very different champions almost probably every week.
Oh, we're ready to go for a smite fight. It will go over the way of Cloud9, but what about the rest of the fight thereafter?
And I think it's just going to keep going like that, and it's going to be really, really scary to prep against us. It's definitely not the end of what we will pick.
Massive heals end up coming out from the fudge, that is exactly what Soraka was picked for.
We went 2-0 after we lost at lock-in.
And 100 Thieves will be happy to forget about lock-in and be undefeated in the LCS Spring Split.
AG is looking pretty strong, and they have a strong jungler.
Inspired is still alive. Possibility of a smite fight is still there. Inspired goes in. He got Inspired. Steals the Elder Drake.
The matchup between the two bot lanes, I feel like could go either way. Getting FBI ahead is their #1 goal.
Jinx comes down. Abadaga to scoop them away to make sure they can claim this one, and they will do so. Thanks for the soul. Thanks for the team fight.
I think me and Vulcan can pull out some really good stuff versus them, and maybe they have something for us as well.
The fight is over. A quadra kill for Danny. Welcome to the LCS, Zeri. Danny gets another pentakill. Welcome back, everyone. Glad to see you again. I don't know why Mark does the things he does, but we've got some business to take care of.
He's a trendsetter.
He really is.
I say this because I did the same thing.
Yeah, okay. Because I was about to ask. I was about to ask.
Mainly to troll
I was going to say,
okay.
don't other people have to do something like to follow it for it to become a trend? But I guess you
There's
have now
some
made it a
trails that
trend.
you blaze
Yeah.
and immediately get abandoned, and no
Yeah.
one goes down that trail ever.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, last week's games gave us a fascinating four-way tie for first place. That's a bit of a stretch in the language there. We got 100 Thieves, Cloud9, Dignitas, FlyQuest, all up there at 2-0. Evil Geniuses and Team Liquid keeping each other comfy at 1-1 in the middle of the standings. And then 4 teams to round it out at 0-2, still searching for their first wins.
And I will give a warning for the EG fans out there. Their strength of schedule for the first few weeks is hard.
Okay.
It gets easier down the road, but I don't want
So
to
there's
get
light
tricked.
at the end of the tunnel then for
True.
EG, and they should feel pretty good then about sitting at 1-1. Here's the schedule of games that we have in front of us today. We kick things off with Dignitas QNTMPAY up against Evil Geniuses.
Boom.
One of those teams that you're talking about right there. 100 Thieves versus Immortals Progressive, Team Liquid Cloud9. Golden Guardians versus CLG, and we close things out with TSM versus FlyQuest. For me, that final game of the day is actually super intriguing because, again, it sports the kind of surprising 2-0 team in FlyQuest and the way that they did it, of course, with the Janna top, against a team that, to a degree, we expected to have a slow start because they themselves expected to have a slow start, but have already given us, I think, signs of life and reasons to believe that those wins are going to come, and this might be the perfect place for them to pick up the first one.
Yeah, and we also get to see, like, so one thing you said on waiting rooms I disagreed with.
Oh,
is
no.
you were like,
Wait, was it about
you were
the
like-
socks and the pants?
No, I missed
okay,
that
okay.
part.
That's where we're going.
But the part where you were like, if they're still doing it like weeks down the road, I'm not sure how I would like that. And I want to see if teams are going to stick to their strategy. And if they do, I actually think, again, it brings everyone's level up. Like, because you get to see how different strategies go up against each other.
Absolutely. All right, there you have it.
There you go.
Dignitas, first game of the day, though, so we're going to hop on over to them. It's the 2-0 start that I think to some was a surprise, especially, again, in the way that they did it. People like River absolutely popping off. But before we get to him, because he's a big piece of it, we've got to talk about Biofrost, the veteran, as he returns to the stage.
100%. It's been a big surprise, right? Biofrost comes in, has a strong laning phase here with Neo, is working quite well, and I think the full team, but I would look at the support and say Biofrost is working damn well with River in their early games.
And it's cool to see Biofrost kind of back into this position where he's putting his name up there with the best supports in the league, because when he joined, it was an explosive start back in 2016 summer, coming in, taking Yellow Star's spot. And this is against Immortals. This was the play where Biofrost officially arrived in the LCS. Immortals were nearly undefeated. They were incredible back then, and this play got them back in the game, and it was like, oh my God, this is Biofrost, and he's been a mainstay for the last 6 years. This is a 10-year anniversary. We're looking back, and he's actually done so much in the league. He's 9th all-time in career assists, and he's only 11 away from 2,000.
And he hasn't played for a couple years. That's what makes the stat like that so surprising to me.
Well, and it's really cool that he has, to your point, been able to do this after so many doubted him. I think like the other player that people majorly doubted was Blue. And then you had a ton of people panning the Biofrost signing because of that. And I'm glad that Mark also brought up how well he's been working with River, because it's been a massive part of their early game.
Yeah, near the end of his work on TSM, it was a huge drop-off. And so it's just really good to see him back in top form. And so, like, how has that really impacted Dignitas? It's impacted the bottom lane structure. Him and Neo have been really working well. And so now I look at who you're going up against.
Yeah.
You're going up against a strong duo in Danny. And I think Danny has just been incredible. The creativity that he has in team fights that has been netting him pentakill after pentakill. And I don't give a damn that one of them was unofficial. In my books, in the official books of Raz, that's an official pentakill.
In Raz's memoir, he'll make a footnote somewhere.
Page I can look at?
I'll get that set up.
I think it's a great point, though, right? This Dignitas bot lane is going to be taken to task today by the EG bot lane.
Well, and I think the big thing is that Danny's laning, again, has improved so much with Vulcan. He's looked significantly better than he did last year in lane, and I think that's also something that's really important to call out in addition to his team fights.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think there are still like glimpses of like when they went up against TSM and they did lose it 2v2 early, right? So that's still going to be something that they work on continuously. I'm going to be interested to see how they do in this matchup versus Bio and Neo. But yeah, it's gotten so much better, and it's nice to be able to see that someone that is working with you in Vulcan that can kind of take the helm of that and work and have that leadership. Because he's worked with incredible ADs in the past. Sven in his prior team.
A couple of them, yeah.
There we go. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, iron out those mistakes. It'll be necessary to take down. Actually, on both sides. For either of these teams to win, it's going to be about eliminating mistakes. But I want to jump back to a player that you mentioned, Emily, in River. He as well has a tough matchup today against Inspired, who many have been pointing as maybe the top performing jungler in the league.
Yeah, we've got All-Star PCS jungler versus All-Star LEC jungler in the River Inspired matchup. You see the incredibly wide Jarvan up there. River has been doing so well on this pick specifically. We've also seen Inspired perform really well on the Jarvan. River will counter pick himself to get that Jarvan just because of how much he can do with his lanes early. And so I'm really, really curious to see, what the champion picks are going to be for them, especially since we've seen Inspired play multiple different ways, farming and then affecting his lanes early. And then whether they'll take away, especially Jarvan, just because of how much River does on it.
I think that's the big thing that we're talking about, styles. I think that's one of the big keywords this early on in the split. And Dignitas have that camp-heavy style around bot lane in particular, and Inspired has been historically more efficiency-focused, wanting to make sure that his farm numbers are good. But River just sucks you down there. Like, everyone doesn't want to do it, and then suddenly they're playing around bot lane, and River's like setting up this camp. So I want to see how EG responds to that pressure.
Yeah, just don't ban his J4.
Just so we can see.
Just so we can see J4 get wider in the graph.
I got it. It's important.
It's all J4?
It's important, Raz, for you to maybe preface those statements with the fact, like, this is either an analytical suggestion, this is a winning suggestion, or an entertainment suggestion. Because I agree with you from an entertainment perspective. Please leave it open. I want to see teams try and deal with it. From a winning perspective, I think EG should get that off the table as quickly as possible.
J4, by the way. Because when he's on his Lee Sin and Viego, like we saw in lock-in stage, a lot of it was just like, it wasn't even on him. It's just more so like, it changes how your team plays the game.
Absolutely.
It's so much easier on a J4 to be like, Cataclysm, I'm out. These are your targets. Or, of course, the fact that he sets up for objectives like beforehand and be like, all right, my Cataclysm is back up. I use it like a minute beforehand, and now this AD carry doesn't have flash.
He's so good in late game team fights with the champion as well, how to bait people in. He'll like ult right on top, then EQ back out, then take the Q back in on the flag that's still there. Like, he has outplayed people when they have the counter picks like the Poppy from Spica. At this point, it's like, don't try and counter pick it, just knock it out.
All right, fair enough. Just a minute to go ahead of game time. I want to get some predictions out there in front of our audience. Raz, I'm going to start with you. Dignitas, so they remain undefeated here, 3-0, or is EG striking back in that tough strength of schedule that you're talking about?
I'm not going to board that hype train just yet for Dignitas. I'm going to give it to Evil Geniuses. We saw the work they've done. I'm not on that train
That
yet.
hype train left the station, bro. You missed that last
run.
week.
I'm fast,
Yeah,
bro.
you fast?
Not
We'll
yet. I'm not gonna take the bait yet.
Mark that down. That's content. All right, we're gonna go out to the train tracks on the coast. We're gonna
Oh, no.
set rounds up. We're gonna, all right, buddy, you get us a head
Start
start.
stretching,
Catch
Russ.
that train.
Sounds like some liability issues.
Yeah.
I'm also a coward, by the way.
There we go.
Really?
Nice.
Same.
EG, huh? All three of you?
Boom. That
Where's the
train
faith?
can wait.
This
All
is
right.
the surest sign
Sorry.
that Dig is about to win this game.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a damn empty train. I'll take one of those luxury seats then all
Yeah.
for myself. I got a whole car. I think Dignitas takes it. They remain undefeated. We'll find out soon enough. With that, we're out to Flowers and Kobe, who are standing by for the call.
Welcome, everyone. It's Evil Geniuses and Dignitas. I'm Captain Flowers. That's Kobe. The analyst desk might be all aboard the Evil Geniuses hype train, but the Dignitas party bus cannot be underestimated, my friend.
We invented that Dignitas party bus, baby.
Choo-choo. Oh, wait, that's a train.
Love it. Honk. Yeah, exactly. There we go.
gotcha.
The bus
I gotcha.
keeps on rocking. Honestly, this game is going to be really big in determining how many fellow fans really want to join this Dig party bus, because last year when it started, it was amazing. You know, everybody's along for the ride. They're getting all these upset wins. You know, Dardoch was picking a different jungle champion every single game, but it eventually came crashing down. And so that's going to try and, you know, haunt and kind of follow this optimistic story of Dignitas this year. People are going to be wondering, when is the bus going to need some new tires?
Well, hey, they're currently 2-0. The bus is looking good. The wheels are going around and around. Let's see how draft goes. It's Diana and Aphelios banned away first by Dignitas. Zeri and Jarvan taken off the table by Evil Geniuses. We know that River loves that Jarvan in the jungle for Dig.
And I do also expect, you know, Gwen to show up in ban phases here. If Champions Q is any indication, Dash has been spammed over and over. Zeri permaban, Aphelios very high presence for bans there as well. And oftentimes it does come down to the red side duty to ban it away, even though we've had the Gwen versus Graves matchup so frequently. So many teams now just don't want to have to deal with it. It's always this thing hanging over your head because Gwen can split push later. She just scales so well. She can also team fight because of the W. Does too many things too well, and can flex between top and jungle. So there it is, last ban, no surprise.
They're going to take that one out of here. Tom Kench is out of here, and Dignitas, despite the fact they can't have the Jarvan, they can't have the Gwen, hey, they still get Xin Zhao, and they'll get him first.
And River is such a critical player, probably the most important player for this team at the moment, because River is the biggest facilitator. This man has over 80% kill participation this entire year. That is outstanding. This team cannot operate without River creating the action. So getting the first bigs in for him after the Jarvan has been banned away is big. I always personally think of Trundle as my favorite counter into Xin, though there are personal favorites. Viego also quite nice for being able to reset and take over team fights. Also inspired being known for that champion. Another viable possibility. I do also like prioritizing Karma over leaving Caitlyn up, because Karma is so good into Caitlyn. This is basically how you play against the Caitlyn lanes, is when you have Karma to have these mantra Qs to take over wave control, take it back into your possibility of controlling. Otherwise you get overwhelmed by Caitlyn Lux, which by the way is a little bit nerfed on this patch as far as the scaling AD damage.
Yep, Caitlyn Lux, always one of those strong poke lanes. They have so much range, so much ability to dictate the state of things. We'll see how well the Jinx and the Karma are able to fight back. The response here in the jungle, we will have mirrored first picks across the first half of the draft, bot lanes and junglers. It's Olaf for Inspired. How do you feel about this one into that Xin matchup in particular?
It's a similar ideology to my Trundle ideology, except that the Trundle also has the safety factor of being able to do the ranged pillar and sometimes get out the ultimate or get out summer spills off the Xin. But Olaf just goes red smite, fights the Xin. You can duel him, and plus you're picking your Olaf after you've already secured your Karma, your Enchanter, to secure a smooth mid stage of the game for your Olaf. So you're not just playing off of early game and then gonna fall off. You're going to have a lot easier way to play in 5-on-5s with that giant AoE and speed up. But now we're looking at the solo lanes as we jump into the bans following it up, because as is so common, both bottom lanes and jungles picked up here early. And now it just comes down to these solo lanes whittling away. Speaking of Champions Q, because it is such a hot topic, Jojo has been, Ryze has been one of the most banned champions, but Jojo as an individual player has both a high game count, but also an insanely high win count. He has over 70% win count, which is the highest percentage, win percentage for, I believe it was top 9 or 10 players as far as game count. So he has been putting in the work, and he has been racking up the dubs there as well. Really like to see, you know, he's still grinding away. The young North American talent also putting in a lot of the work. So I'm curious to see what he's going to get whittled down to here. One more of these mid lane bans left to come
these
out.
Fortnite kids are just built different. You love to see it. Like, oh my goodness. We got Nautilus banned out here, so they're going to take that one off the table, predicting a possibility of a role swap from the Karma.
Exactly. The Karma is flexible, can do the roaming top solo lane style, could even just be stuck in a solo lane as a normal solo laner, but they're covering their bases there, expecting the possibility.
All right, EG, what are we going to go here? Yep, Corki. Now remember, this is Corki that has nerfs on the package timers. More difficult for Corki to be able to have those for every dragon fight. The first one doesn't come online for a Rift Herald that is rushed on spawn as well, so a little bit less impact in terms of those neutral objectives, but still going to be very powerful. The poke is still, that's a nice way to say this, unreasonable once it gets to a certain level.
Yeah, it's unchanged. It was not changed at all. The only nerfs on 12.3, which is the patch we are currently on, changing to for the LCS now for pro play, is that they did move that package back to 10 minutes. So Rift Herald spawns at 8 minutes, so you have a full 2 minutes to try and play around Rift Herald before Corki gets packaged. And then they made, as you're saying, the continued stacking for dragons more difficult because it's a full 5-minute timer instead of the 4-minute timer for the extra leeway on a minute there. So yes, big changes to the package for the objective timing for Corki, but otherwise left unchanged. And so you are going to have that long-range harassment possibility.
He'll be playing into an Ahri here in the mid lane on Dignitas. It'll be Blue piloting that one. Renekton is the final pick for the top lane, and what that means, Mr. Kobe, is that Renekton is a poor answer to the roaming smite support style. He's not a super great split pusher. He doesn't have amazing scaling. He's going to have to deal with the fact that that's a top lane Karma, and she might as well be taking that smite.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's also not a super quick tower taker, even though you have one auto attack reset. So maybe Fakegod will take Demolish here and try and get that tower down quickly. That's one of the big timers you immediately look at when you're trying to play into these comps, trying to get that first tower down very quickly so you can try and leverage that gold lead across the map, and your bottom side of the map won't hemorrhage so much. But EG, as we said, the Karma Olaf is a dream combination.
Yes, sir.
And so it works so perfectly as one of those roaming top laners with the Olaf. What I'm expecting for this game, though, and what we have missed in some of the other roaming top gameplay, has been heavy focus on a level 1 to invade to get deep vision so you can really bully the jungle early.
Right.
They need to do that with this combination. Olaf and Karma is set up so well. Olaf level 1 access is insane, and I expect them to utilize it.
I love those light shows. I always get excited about those damn light shows. I love those.
It's party time!
All right, it's party time for sure. Now remember, my friends, remember, the team playing the Smite top laner is the team that needs to get things rolling. They must push the pace of the game and get the rest of the squad an advantage.
This is exactly what I was talking about. Go for the level 1, use the power, Olaf axes, backed up with Karma here, get your deep vision so that you can deny the bottom jungle of Dig. Your goal for this EG team is to try and split the map and take away the early power of the Caitlyn plus Lux lane. If Caitlyn plus Lux does not get early CS advantages, does not get turret plate money, then it will be a detriment to your team. This is even more so true on 12.3, where Caitlyn's scaling was further hit. Your attack damage per level that you get is down, and your Q for your wave control is also down.
Now, one thing that I also want to point out here, remind everybody what we're going to be tracking, how we're going to be evaluating this Smite support top strategy. When we look at these things, we're not going to compare Impact versus Fakegod, because Impact is not going to have the same numbers that Fakegod has. Instead, we're going to be looking at Fakegod's numbers versus those of Jojo and Danny. That's who Impact is going to be trying to accelerate. That's who he's going to be playing for, and who he's going to be sacrificing his own power to enable.
Well, and also the jungle. Again, playing that Karma off of this Olaf is going to be a huge part too. So Impact trying to soak up his level 3 up off the top side to get full access to his abilities before he goes into heavy roaming. Engagement on the bottom side, just a little bit of chip damage. Impact, by the way, another little anecdote from Champions Queue, because
what do you got?
Such a fun insight into the pro player meta, because the players are coming off of their scrims and instantly queuing up for Champions Queue, and so you do get some insights into what they've been banning, because they have similar strategies that transfer right on over, and Impact has actually played a bunch of these roaming tops. You know, he has played the Ivern top. There has been an influx of both Pike top roaming as well as Bard. So a lot of different options up there. But this time around should be a lot more straightforward. Inspired, by the way, is clearing down towards this bottom half with the remnants of the deep wards that they left inside the red quadrant of the jungle of Dignitas expiring now. He is going to still have the priority here through the river and camp on this control ward.
And speaking of river, he's clearing out some of his own chickens, just continuing to farm up here nice and early. No scuttle crabs are alive just yet. Inspired, waiting inside that brush like we're talking about, just in case somebody might walk through. You're seeing the recall here from Impact. Impact now has level 3. That is all abilities online. That means I'm expecting we're going to start seeing his presence elsewhere, somewhere other than top lane. Jojo's going to fire off Scryers, so they know that River is clearing Krugs. And honestly, everything's just sort of passively moving forward right now. Nobody's really jumping on the opportunity to make any sort of a big play.
And here's where your opportunity arises, Flowers. It is the recall from Impact. So on reset here from Impact, has the choice of heading off to the other side of the map. It's still a minute ahead of Dragon. Bottom side, though, is getting spicy.
Okay, Neo steps into the chompers there. He knows he has River nearby if they continue trying to chase him, so he wasn't worried about activating that CC. Biofrost used the heal in exchange for Danny's cleanse. 1 summoner for 1 summoner. Danny taking a little bit of extra damage there, but now Vulcan's coming in. Zenith Blade finds Biofrost. Danny falling back here yet again. Evil Geniuses underneath the turret. Nothing for River to do.
And here it is. Impact's made his way down off of the reset. Inspired is topside though, so it looks like Inspired might actually go soak the wave instead of EG forcing the early dragon. This is going to mean that there's going to be a turbocharged Olaf. So they've actually done a very good job mitigating any loss of lane experience, even though they've incorporated the roaming Karma into their strategy. This is going to boost Inspired up to level 5, and then you've still got 20 seconds to try and get back to the other side of the map if you want to keep on timer for dragon stacking here. Meanwhile, the Caitlyn Lux lane has been kind of harassed down here, and so Neo and Biofrost have done a magnificent job of still getting a very good CS lead for themselves, you know, trying to abuse the power of Caitlyn Lux early on. And EG, even though they incorporated the strategy here of the roaming top, have not stymied any of that pushing power early or yet. But this is where you finally bring the power together. Impact trying to stock the backs here.
Nicely done. Making Neo waste that time. Takes a little bit of damage back, but he does not care. Impact's job is to be as much of a pain in the butt as possible for everybody on Evil Geniuses except that, or for everybody on Dignitas, excuse me, except that Renekton wants to enable everybody here on Evil Geniuses, and Inspired will be able to take this first Drake very quickly like you were talking about. It's really big, really important to be stacking these Drakes when you're playing the roaming top.
And the thing is here for Evil Geniuses also, even though we're looking very far into the future, they also have very good scaling options for damage later. So they don't have to be hyper-focused on continually dragon stacking. It's like we must have this win condition of Dragon Soul or bust, because they do have Corki and Jinx. And so with some of the other picks that they've actually picked up for this setup, there's not as much pressure as we've seen in some of the other setups for these laning combinations. So it's going to be very interesting to track here how they use this Karma Olaf to bridge some of the early pressure and balance it into the 2-item Corki Spike and the 2-item Jinx carry for a little bit later on. Getting Dragon number 1 is a very nice step along that road.
Plus it was Cloud. That means it's not Cloud Soul.
True.
So there's generally going to be plenty of value there. Dignitas still commanding almost a 1,000 gold lead, just about 7 minutes into the game. Nice early leads for them. They grab that Scuttle Crab there in the top river too.
All right, let's talk about the Ahri for a little bit here.
Okay.
Unless Impact actually gets a significant, summoner spell burned down on bottom side, because the Ahri is the changed Ahri here. This is very nice buffs to Ahri on 12-3, where you can get a reset on your ultimate. Also increase the W damage. Impact, though, gonna have to
flash. Nicely done. Flash for flash, and the follow from Blue means first blood for Dignitas.
You're welcome, Blue. Ahri gets the spotlight, and Ahri gets the kill. Inspired, able to flash in time. Doesn't get rooted out of duration there from Impact. Impact walking around as this support, level 4. Biggest thing when you're playing this role, you have to be careful because you are a walking target. And Inspired, no hesitation there, knocks him up, gets the kill set up for Blue, and this Ahri is going to be even more fed. So this can demonstrate our point of Ahri being so good right now. I really feel like Ahri has jumped right back into the mid lane pool here with the buffs, the possibilities of getting that reset, but also the damage spread being moved around. Does feel like Ahri now is going to be a premier pick. I know we also had on the analyst desk, they showed PoE with his tweet. The old
15 score or something like that.
The old Ahri players are also coming out of the woodwork.
It's finally time.
Yes, exactly. So PoE, I definitely expect at least some sort of influence in that direction in their game as well. Maybe Shifter. We'll get back on it as well.
Oh, baby, we're bringing back old school names now. All right, I'm ready for it. We don't know exactly what's going on with the state of the pause or anything right now. We'll let y'all know as soon as we have more information. Hopefully, I have just been informed, actually mid-sentence, that we are just about ready to get back into the game, so no huge technical errors here so far. That is first blood over to Dig. They were already up almost 1,000 gold just off of the advantages they had found for themselves in this state of the game. So what I'm looking for here is now Evil Geniuses to get something rolling here. The reason I pointed this out at the beginning of the game is because when you opt into this strategy, if you hit 20, 25 minutes and this hasn't brought you anything, all of a sudden they have a top laner and you don't. So I need to see Evil Geniuses move something forward.
See, and here's the thing. Look at how much Impact is investing in value items. Yes, you always do the support item for the extra gold generation, but he's also picked up a Dark Seal for himself, which for AP champions and anybody with AP ratios is an extremely efficient item. Not if you die all the time, and so he's going to have to work on that a little bit. Only death in the game. But there is going to be a lot of value provided to the team. The speed up for the carries of Olaf, Corki, and Jinx will be a very big influence later on. And Renekton should have a harder time team fighting as the game goes on. But right now, Renekton is the god in the game. Fakegod is actually
real god.
Lizard God. And Lizard God's priority should be able to secure them objectives. He's currently recalling, not heading over to this Rift Rail that his jungler has started up, though, so EG will just push them right out. Might even fully reset on the Patience.
And one thing that I like to talk about too a little bit is we're seeing a lot more Jinx scouting rockets in modern day League of Legends than I feel like we used to see. Super Mega Death Rockets just get shot off all the time just to see if something is going down. That rocket that originally saw Dignitas going after that just sort of dissuades them from going any further, lets EG know. We saw earlier EG tried to invade the jungle as well, but Biofrost's flash got him out of trouble there. EG still trying to contest for these camps, trying to fight over every possible thing they can. They know they have the extra man. They know they have this roam control. Down here in bottom, Danny will just be left next to the turret, pushing that wave up, clearing everything out, while both his normal support and his bonus support hang out with Inspired, prowling around in that jungle.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. So EG, they commit several resources towards the top side, knowing that they're still keeping Danny down on bottom side, For that, they did get a teleport out of Fakegod, but it's still, you know, unleashed early teleport, so not a huge win there. But in keeping Danny bottom side and forcing Neo and Biofrost to 5 commit up to the top side, they did let Danny get his own turret plates here as Jinx down on the bottom side in payment for the Rift Herald, and sets them up with bottom side river control where they could have left some deeper wards if they had been able to purchase first, but Dignitas don't know that they did not have wards to leave behind their jungle here leading up to the dragon. They just know that they had to give up control of their red quadrant of the jungle, which makes it a dangerous retake, and you have to be much more cautious, you know, sweeping through the brush as you're moving through.
And Fakegod just got the second turret top lane at 10 minutes and 11 seconds into the game. That is a very fast second turret here for the interior crocodile alligator, since we're talking about old outdated references.
Interior crocodile gets the interior turret and is going to cash on in his call.
He got the second turret before the cull completed.
Yeah.
That's how fast he got the turrets. There's still 2 minions left on it.
And
He's got Core Drinker too.
We were also talking up his godlike power. Now we get to see it on the Rift, because for Dragon number 2, after taking that turret in such a timely manner, he can head down for this one.
Oh no, Impact dead again. River taking the credit on that one.
So, is this about the time where you type the top diff, Mr. Flowers, if you're trying to tilt the enemy team?
It might be, man. I'm not quite sure. This strategy is not panning out for evil geniuses in this game. The roams from Impact have not resulted in anything seriously meaningful. Meanwhile, Fakegod has got so much here in the top lane. The gold advantage is 3,000. The Drake is about to be picked up by the side of Dignitas, meaning evil geniuses can no longer aim for that early soul. It looks rough.
All right, I want to get ahead of this because I expect there to be some objective bounties occurring in this game.
Okay.
With the direction that Digger headed, but with the direction that Ahri's headed.
Blue, you're in trouble, buddy, and he's gone. Danny gets the first kill of the game for evil genius.
Might not be so true with the direction that Blue is headed back to the fountain, because EG are going to cash in on some money, getting his head plus the mid turret in exchange for the bottom push here.
Well, okay, I like the little emo flash as he gets bound up there, Inspired stealing away those chickens. Mid lane turret will not fall all the way. It's kind of funny because we were talking about a tier 2 turret falling earlier, but the game is still 2 minutes away from plates even being gone, so it is still difficult to take down these tier 1s in a swift fashion. You can see there's 2 plates standing on both mid and bot turret for Dig. Still 4 up there on that top side, because it's hard to put damage on plates when nobody's in the lane, Mr.
That does make it a wee bit more difficult. Now, also, we gotta, you know, focus back in on these objective bounties, because this game is Dignitas having a bit more pressure as far as dealing with the late game scaling of having Karma boosting up, you know, Corki and Jinx here, and Dig having a lot more early priority. So this gold advantage that they have now, they do need to leverage it to push the game forward. Caitlyn, again, was taking it down a bit in her scaling as well. So the later options, the damage outs for Dignitas, are not really there in this setup, and they are going to have to worry about acquiring the objective bounty themselves, in addition to being boosted by, yes, low CS impact, Karma roaming top, and dying a bunch. So if you make a mistake, if you get picked out and chased down in the wrong position, then you're going to give up a lot to the enemy team, because this EG team will have a very strong, you know, 5-on-5 capabilities. That's why they need to leverage super strong Renekton at the moment and Ahri's pick potential.
Well, here we go. They might be looking for it in mid lane. Vulcan shows up, though, so they know that the dive is pretty risky. Still 15 seconds left on those turret plates, too, so they're not going to be able to do a whole lot else here. 3 minutes away from the Drake, so nothing to fight for here in the bottom side river. They will continue moving into enemy territory, taking over this Evil Genius's jungle. You can see right there, there's one ward from EG, but it's currently being disabled by a control ward from the side of Dignitas, so they're blind in this bottom half of their own jungle as the pressure continues to be applied here mid lane. Binding's not going to find Danny, but the wave gets cleared.
Yep, turning out the lights, step number 1 for them here. Trying to deny the easier rotation between the mid and bottom side for the Evil Geniuses, because the Evil Geniuses just trying to acquire gold onto the Corki and onto the Jinx at this moment. That's their pathway to victory here. Main goals for them, trying to keep up the income of these 2 carries. And Dignitas are doing a pretty good job of making the rest of the map more dangerous and squishing in on the sides of EG territory to try and deny them those possible avenues of gold income. Need to get right back out after the reset, though, so that they can deny the top side spawn here of Rift Herald number 2 and keep things moving in their direction. Rift Herald number 2 actually usually not the biggest of priority, but when you are thinking, oh, we might be proccing objective bounties in this game, and we need to keep taking turrets in a timely manner, all of a sudden, that's exactly what the doctor orders.
Well, here we go. Let's see exactly how they're going to play around it here. Dignitas has total control over the area right now. Inspired just waiting on his own chicken camp to spawn. And it looks like Dignitas will be happily taking this one without any sort of a fuss. That just means that Evil Geniuses will have to prepare to survive a Rift Herald charge here. Mid lane tier 1 turret, still mostly healthy, but Rift Herald will obviously be able to change that very swiftly if they decide that's where they want to use it. There's not really anywhere you can use it top lane. I don't think they're going all the way to the inhib turret. Bottom lane, you could also try to get that extra juicy money that is on those tier 2 turrets. Now it's been in the game for a while at this point. But man, 45 seconds here on the Drake. Already said last time, Evil Genius' early soul stacking plan got ruined, so there's not any huge pressure on Dig to grab this next one. But it's not like there's a reason for them not to. They're 3,500 gold ahead. They're fine taking fights in open ground.
Yeah, they actually are the ones that need to control all these neutral objectives while they have the priority. And so they can try and continue to control this vision and open up these pockets for Blue to try and pick people off. You know, he's level 11 now, rank 2 in the ultimate. Sork Shoes and Ludens ready to go. So needs to start stacking up, you know, some picks to get his Dark Seal going, because we mentioned some of the, you know, comparisons of CS in this game. The Olaf also massively outpacing the Zhao, as should be if you're just, you know, pure farming. And there are some opportunities there for EG as long as they just keep on telling themselves, we're scaling for late. We're going to focus on
DW, we scale.
Don't worry. Possibly the most effective line to type in solo queue. There are not very many effective lines.
That's the most effective line to type if you want me to mute you. That's like a meme line.
Really? Don't worry, we're scaling?
No, because usually the guy saying it is a 0-7 Vayne. I'm like, no, Vayne, you're not scaling. That's not what's happening right now.
All right, well, there's no winning then. Just don't type anything to Flowers, because he's either going to think that you are being facetious, or he's going to, you know, think that you are insulting him. So there's no good way to talk to him.
The best way to communicate is to play better. That will make me have faith in you.
Actually, the most effective line is, an enemy has been slain.
Yes, that one, I love reading that one. I'll read a whole book of those. Just give me that all day long.
I'm gonna actually try and cheese it and just type that in chat from now on. Even if they're like, oh, you need to gank bottom more. And I'm just like, well, didn't you read chat?
This time, Kobe has claimed the 700 bounty on enemy Jinx. That's all you gotta do.
Manifest.
But now we've got a mid lane tier 1 turret down, the 4th turret of the game that Dignitas has taken. That gold lead up above 4,000 gold. Continuing to move forward, the lead keeps building. At 18 minutes, we're at 4,000 gold. Where does this gold lead need to be, Kobe, for you to feel comfortable? Because you've been talking about the scaling of Corki, talking about the scaling of Jinx. What's kind of the, okay, they're not going to scale up to survive this point for you?
I like looking at it in actual items in inventory.
Okay.
And an extra item for the carries is usually my big break point.
Okay.
Ahri very slippery here, so is going to be able to get away. But you do hit that point around the 5 and 6K gold. You should feel pretty comfortable with snowballing. But again, that's also where you're going to be proccing objective bounties, and you have to worry about this more tenuous, if we make a mistake, then Jinx gets excited, they get a bunch of kills, then they can also cash in on objective bounties, and they can win. So this EG team does have a fearsome, you know, late game possibility, and it's much more pressure here on Dig to actually finish this game out by controlling the, you know, vision through their jungle, as well as leading up to these objectives, because they do have some good pick possibilities. It's just going to be a little bit tenuous once they get to the 5-on-5, if it's a bit more even.
We've got the Randuin's done. 2nd fully completed item here on Fakegod. You're talking about being a full item ahead. Well, Fakegod's about 2 full items ahead because impacts inventory, man.
Do these ones count here?
Impacts inventory, man. What do we have here, Mr. Kobe? We've got a nice pair of red shoes, glowing radioactive rock, shiny red rock, other blue rock, and a ring pop.
So he's currently 5 times the CS. Can we go for 8? His close. Let's get up to 6, 7. You know, work your way up. We've got to create the new horizons.
Okay, an 8 times horizon will be a Fakegod horizon if he can achieve it.
That would be
If he can
massive.
achieve it. But plenty of time to go still before we see that one.
6 is going to be easy to do.
I think we'll get there all right. We'll get there all right. You can see in the inventory here for Inspired as well, his second item going for the Death's Dance, I believe. Very, very powerful stuff against those AD champions. The only real AP threat here is the Ahri. Obviously, Lux does some magic damage, but she's a support.
And they also buffed it on this patch 12.3, which we just changed to be able to reduce magic damage as well, increase the cost by 200 gold. Yeah, so it's a little bit more expensive, and they reduced it down to 30% delay for melee champions. But now having the possibility of working against both damage types makes it feel really good. Sometimes I usually push it to, you know, third item pickup, but can be, especially if you have an enchanter on your team, a very valuable, you know, item 2 pickup here, and it looks like that could be the direction you want to go for, because it lets you live that dream of being the sustained carries there.
Drain tanking a team fight.
Exactly.
And just destroying everyone.
That is the success meter for an Olaf.
Yeah. If you can drain tank, if you can force everyone else into Valhalla while you're still standing there with 100 HP, Olaf did his job. But we've got 25 seconds until that next Drake spawns. For Dig, this will be Soul Point. There were some on my way pings. You can see more of them right now coming out, and those are blue pings, my friends. Those are from Dignitas saying we need to get down to the river. We need to be ready to go. We are still in control of the game. Let's continue this. Vulcan's trying to hang out nearby, just putting some defensive vision here in their own jungle. They know Dignitas is going to be looking for this, so it's too risky for Vulcan to go any further forward on his own. Traps being set up here by Neo. You love this from a Caitlyn composition. It affords you so much more control over these neutral scenarios.
Exactly. Soul Point here going to be big for Dignitas. I don't think, especially with no package here for EG, they should risk anything. Again, it's that same line, Flowers. We keep chanting it over and over. We're scaling for late. We're scaling for late. Don't risk it on a Soul Point Dragon fight. You've got one more to make your move, and you really just need that one big, you know, one team fight there for EG. So they are being patient. They're biding their time. Wait till you get your Muramana transformation on Corki. Wait until you get your Ludens upgraded there onto Corki as well.
Yep.
Then you can fish around for your big, you know, harassment rockets to come through, and you have the possibilities of taking over that team fight. That Death Dance does come in for Inspired. We'll see if it does let him live the Viking dream, or if he will actually go to Valhalla and Dignitas will win the game.
So, let me ask you this. What do we want to see here from Dignitas? This is a 3-kill game in 23 minutes. We're not seeing a lot of heavy action.
I think there needs to be more immediacy in their transition of pressure to Baron. Because if you're waiting the entire 4 minutes just until next fight over the Soul, then guess what? Corki is going to have the Ludens. He's already got it. His Muramana will be transformed. Might even be able to upgrade his Hex Drinker. Which also got buffed on this patch, by the way. So it's going to have a lot more safety from those Ahri picks. So I think they need to have a bit more immediacy on transferring over to Baron and try and force EG into some bad scenarios where maybe they can fish around, get a pick, you know, Ahri ultimate into Charm or Lux Bindings, fishing around. At least make EG sweat while they're trying to get rich. EG are not sweating at all. They're calmly picking up all this gold off the ground. It just keeps on funneling in down through the lanes. They've even kept up farming their jungle efficiently. So this is the mark of the really, really good teams that can execute on some of the more difficult strategies where you have to pressure your leads, is can you close in on the pressure earlier before EG have had ample time to farm up for the possibility of their comeback team fight. And look at this. They're moving right in, unperturbed, easily take out a bunch of this vision from Dignitas, while, you know, Fakegod is trying to push up bottom side and then, what, moves into the jungle for, like, a Gromp or something?
Appears so. Yep, it's going to be a Gromp take from Fakegod. Also worth pointing out, because we're talking about that comeback team fight. We're talking about where EG will have to go for that. Last Whisper coming out for Danny here, so the third item is going to be the LDR. I like this a lot, considering the itemization in the front line there with the Randu and Zoman, plated steel caps on the Renekton. You can't just walk past Fed Renekton that had no lane opponent. He knows he's going to have to go through that, and he's building the right items to accomplish that goal most efficiently.
Yeah. They're going to need some armor penetration. Also wants an Infinity Edge, but you got to choose. You only get one, so...
Infinity Edge is flashier. It makes you feel cooler with massive crits, but LDR just going to be more effective at cutting through those meatballs there on the front line. Shadow Flame completed here as the second full item for Blue. You've also got Bloodthirster second for Neo's Caitlyn. This has become so popular, especially in the face of this incredibly powerful poke from champions like Corki. Makes it so one rocket doesn't send you back to base.
Yeah. Build up your shield while you're pushing up, so you'll have some safety from the initial rockets. And if one of them does land, then you also have sustain for trying to sustain back up after some of the, those unfortunate rockets.
Exactly. The unlucky rocket.
Honestly, though, I want to see how much they will do to Renekton, because you're talking about all this armor stacking for Fakegod. If they do come to the 5-on-5 and they have enough time for JoJo to fire off a bunch at Fakegod, there is... no magic resistance there. So it actually might even be effective trying to pelt some of this magic damage into the front line to soften him up first. Is going to be one of the big things there for EG. Can they poke effectively with Jinx W and Corki rockets a little bit beforehand? Because, as you said, it's so beneficial for the Caitlyn Lux to get to an objective early, set up your traps, and throw out your bindings.
Well, you were talking earlier when we first got done with that last dragon, and I asked you the question, what do we need to see here? And you were talking about, hey, apply some pressure before we get to that fight because they're going to have items. We're less than a minute away now. LDR is now complete on the Jinx. Corki just completed Maw of Malmortius. We are at 3-item power spikes on both the hyper carries for EG. Impact finally has his first item. Vulcan moving in. Evil Genius is seeing if they can find someone. Forcing the flash out of River here. Neo going to continue backing it up here in mid lane. Does not want to be very close to those EG players.
It begins, Flowers.
Okay.
The only pressure that they've mounted is my blood pressure here, because the comeback is looming. This 5,000 gold lead has not increased. Multiple items now on the EG carries, and they get a very free summoner spell in Burning the Xin Flash. That can be very detrimental for your team fight here, leading up 10 seconds into the Dragon area. River already taken by River and the rest of Dignitas. See if they can actually retain control over this vision. Package picked up for JoJo. Rockets coming out. Level 16.
We're ready to go. Oh my goodness, there's what we're talking about. That one rocket. Biofrost lost a big chunk of HP. EG with control over the river. They are totally unafraid. Biofrost just died. Corki's a fair and balanced champion, by the way. Here goes JoJo dropping off the package delivery. Oh my goodness.
That is why you needed more immediacy after the previous dragon. When you had the 4 minutes leading up and my blood pressure starts rising, you start having fever dreams.
Oh no,
it's this comeback
Corki's
fight.
coming. Where's he at?
The Corki rockets. I got hit in my bed. I'm getting hit up here on the caster tower, Flowers.
This summer, no one is safe. When the rockets start flying, the supports start dying. I'd watch that movie. That would scare the hell out of me. Anyway, that's the Drake Soul stopped. It's going to be 5 more minutes before Dignitas get to make another attempt, but they're not worried about that attempt right now. Instead, they will start up the Baron, but a Trinket is immediately there. Spotted it out. Evil geniuses know what's going on. If it's not a sneak, Dig's not going to get away with it. They cannot bear to do that while the Corki rockets are pouring in over the wall, so they have to back away.
And now they have realized. Biofrost has definitely realized. Dignitas, they were a little bit lackadaisical for far too long in the mid stages of this game. And EG were left to pick up gold off the ground. Corki now hit the 3-item power spike, so JoJo's feeling very active. You saw him, zoning multiple members in the entry into Dragon previously. Now they also don't have to worry so much about the split push because there's still some secondary towers left standing for EG. They've got ground to give as they try and force with their 5 members, which is where they're really strong and where they can bully the members of Dig off. The only hopes here for Dig are trying to find these picks. Lux binding with the increased range or Ahri jumping in. Now, they did change Ahri as well a little bit when we were talking about the spread of the damage.
Right.
You can still kill people without landing Charm because you'll still have a decent amount of damage. You don't need the damage amp on hitting Charm, but you actually can't hold any of these people in place without hitting it. So you still actually need the CC. So the game plan is still the same. Like you have to hit either the Charm or the Binding, or else you're not coming back in this game.
Okay, Laser's not going to find Danny there. Dignitas, honestly, Kobe, it just felt like after Dignitas got that second turret top with Renekton at 10 minutes, even though they were in control of the game for so long, that kind of felt like the climax of their story for me. Was, oh my god, they got the top tier 2 turret! And then that's...
my god, and then what happened?
And then you see the author's notes at the end of the book, like, hey, thanks to my loving family for helping me write this book, the end. And I'm just, where's the rest of the story? Where's the rest of what this was supposed to be? Because Dignitas have not done anything more with it, and Evil Geniuses now feels confident to continue moving forward, to look for their own plays and force their own flashes.
How many books or TV series or movies have you seen the first one and just be like, oh my god, this is so good, I can't wait for the sequel, and then the sequel drops and you're like
wow,
WTF, mate?
I really could have waited for that.
Is this Matrix 3? What's going on here?
Ooh.
Nothing is happening in Matrix 3. They had all the cool changes, all of the, well, we don't want to spoil what's it, like 15 years old now movie?
There's a lot of stuff that's like, oh man, it's okay. It's okay. Anyway, there's your total gold on the side of the screen. The 2 richest players in the game just so happen to be the 2 hyper carries for Evil Geniuses. Kobe, this is looking disastrous for the Dignitas boys.
Who could have seen this coming? Unfortunate now situation for Dig. All right, we gotta play hard mode now, because you can't think about the past. You know, if you dwell on the past and you dwell on failures, then you're never gonna get anywhere. You gotta deal with the present and how can we get out of this situation. Yes, we may only have a 10-15% chance now, but you're gonna have to create some pockets of fog of war, cause some chaos. So go split push, force someone to answer you. You know that EG want to play as 5, so just send the Ahri with, you know, Renekton trailing or something. Maybe you can, or maybe the Renekton showing and the Ahri trailing, so you can try and have a surprise play.
Some sort of bamboozle.
Exactly. You're going to have to bamboozle because no straight up trade is going to be in your favor.
Well, we've got 30 seconds until the next Drake spawns. It will be Soul if Dignitas are able to take or steal it. However, it'll bring EG to Soul Point if they grab it, and then the pressure will be on Dig 5 minutes from now. You remember back when I said we've had 3 kills in 23 minutes? Well, now we've had 4 kills in 32 minutes. So 9 more minutes, 1 more kill.
Yeah.
Still a slow-paced game.
I mean, this is kind of what's also cool about League of Legends. You know, we're saying all this and all this pressure when there is still a 4,500 gold lead. And what you get to trade is Baron pressure for Soul pressure. EG don't have vision on either of them at the moment, but they've got the power of 5 people being able to push you off. So this is where Dignitas can throw that extra wild card into the game. You've got an extra objective.
Vulcan with the flash Q, but Blue's gonna get away. River now in the middle of everybody else. Zonya's gonna keep him alive, but Blue's grabbing the kill on Vulcan, and River's gonna die in retaliation. 1 for 1, but critically, it's the Dignitas jungler who is dead. Neo and Danny trade auto attacks back and forth. Ace in the hole is gonna find Danny. Laser will not hit the target. Blue getting himself back away with about half HP left. Super Mega Death Rocket not finding him either. Danny with plenty of shields, plenty of support here from Impact. Dignitas still trying to challenge here for the Drake. Remember, they have no jungler. If the Drake is taken low, this should be a guaranteed secure for Inspired. No Ragnarok left, but it doesn't really matter. This won't be that big of a deal anyway. Fakegod goes in, Jojo goes out. Rockets flying out here. Drake taken low, secured by Inspired. Evil Geniuses, they're on Soul Point now too. We get a 1-for-1 trade and an objective for EG.
Team Rocket strikes again, Flowers. They've got the Jinx Rockets, the Corki Rockets, all finding purchase onto Dignitas members. And then what did Dig have to say about it? A flash Renekton stun that immediately you're gonna have to slice and dice back out afterwards. It just becomes so difficult to manage these fights. And praise the Vulcan here. Flash is on Vulcan. As soon as Blue is in range, flashes on him, gets the engage. Blue's now at 50%, so even though Vulcan goes down, you know, River exchanged initiations there by jumping in on the Xin and ulting. maybe if you retcon that and you go back as a team trying to review, they should have just left with the disengage from blue, and he had gotten out, and maybe they could have kited into a situation and still got a 1-for-0.
River having to use the ulti there just to survive, does the same thing with his flash, and neither one of them means a damn thing. River's out of the picture. Kobe, I smell something. That smells like Baron, my friend.
what does Baron smell like? Should we get...
Smells like victory. What do you think it smells like? That's what you take to win the game after you take down the enemy jungler. Now Dignitas have to try to answer this, have to try to defend this, but they can't get anywhere close. EG gets the pick they need, and they get the reward. Baron, 35 minutes in.
I feel like it's got a little sweet, tangy after smell there. Maybe a little coconut, little mango.
You know what it is?
Tropical.
Lulu, dude. When Lulu says that tasted purple, that's Baron. Baron tastes like purple.
It's all coming together. Well, guess what? Danny and EG are wearing purple. That's the perfect colors for this squad. They've fully scaled up. The chanting all worked. We farm for late. We farm for late. Guess what? They made it, Flowers.
Man.
If someone types that to you and you don't believe them, they're gonna point you to this VOD and say, "Hey, I'm not insulting you, Flowers. I'm not being sarcastic. I am not being facetious. I truly believe that we scale. We are EG
in the scaling. Okay. All right. Well, Evil Genius's evil plan is working out beautifully. 2.5 minutes left until the Drake. It was Soul Point for the past couple of them for Dig. EG have responded with 2 of their own. The next one must be the Soul, one way or the other, and pretty much everything is leaning EG right now. Jojo's hanging out nearby over the wall, not grouped up with the rest of everybody else directly, still within range though to support with the rockets. Inspired is split pushing down bottom, just using the extra pressure from the Baron there. The remaining 4 players not too worried about getting engaged here in mid. That lead for Dignitas. It is still a 2,500 gold lead for Dig, but the state of the game and the pace of things would not tell you that.
Your money's no good here. They're rolling up, rolling up to the Evil Geniuses store and getting turned around at the door. You can go window shopping. That's about it.
Oh, there's the ulti for ulti trade. Blue and Vulcan gonna swap those back and forth. Not really a big deal. As Danny goes in with a Gale Force. 2 shots. That was a zap plus an auto attack on Biofrost.
Lucky for Bao, Danny doesn't have his ultimate ready, or another rocket would be flying his way. But I mean, he sent a message there, and the message is, I can also 2-shot you. You've died at the hands of Jojo already, but so can I. And the Baron rewards will continue to flow in and fill the coffers of the EG squad.
There you go. Top lane tier 1 turret finally down. That was EG's 3rd turret of the game. They have only taken that much. They had not removed all of those outer turret pieces yet, just because they've been in defense mode for so long. We're seeing these scaled up carries. We're seeing the power of the scaling, but it's not been a state of control for them throughout that big first chunk of the game that honestly, Kobe, just feels like a decade ago now.
And we are getting, I feel kind of bad because we prefaced the match here with the possibilities of, Dignitas Party Bus and what is going to be the journey over this season. This game, they invested really heavily in their champ select in early game. Renekton early game, Caitlyn Lux early game, then Zhao is kind of more of a bridge between the two, but a lot of pressure on the early game, and then not being able to actually manage that, which is more difficult, to be fair, to push ahead, the mid stages lead and actually end the game versus this EG squad. But now they're in the situation where they kind of missed a big window earlier that they had to jump through.
Well, now it's time for the Drake Soul, Kobe. We've got the Ahri top lane. Blue is split pushing there.
Episode 7.
But it's EG on the Drake. They're saying, all right, we'll trade that. We don't care. Inhibitors can respawn. The Drake goes over to EG. The Soul goes over to EG. Jojo and Vulcan are back inside the base protecting the inhib. Jojo will scare Blue away. Yes, they lose the tier 3 turret, but they don't lose the inhib itself. They secure the Soul. EG are happy with that trade.
And I like the attempts here from Dig, because they know they're outgunned, so they're trying to force that hard split push, create that chaos.
Well, we've got a stun onto Leona, and that does about as much as you would expect it to do. Vulcan losing barely any HP. The Mountain Shield doing plenty of work there, just minimizing any of that damage they would take. And I'm struggling, my friend, to find really what is the hope for Dignitas at this point, barring a major error from EG, because it just feels like they're suffocated in their decision-making.
Yeah, the hope is all just hope. It's not really based in science or fact at this point, you know, and that's fine sometimes, you know. Placebo effect also is very strong. 15 to 20%, you can have real changes. So just believe in yourself, Flowers. Belief is a strong tool.
Okay, so Dignitas's only hope is some anime BS protagonist.
Yeah, I mean, placebo effect.
I gotta believe in myself. I believe in myself.
Honestly, though, my question to you is anyone gonna remember the beginning of this game when Impact kept getting picked off and we were flaming?
That's what I was saying. Is the first part of this game feels like a decade ago because it was like, holy moly, man, Fakegod got rid of the second turret before he cashed in his call. Impact's randomly dying here in the river, getting caught out. This looks like doom and gloom. And then, no, it wasn't. It started off looking like some horror movie because we had spooky, scary skeletons and stuff, and then you realize it's Nightmare Before Christmas. Jack Skellington's wearing a beard and giving out presents. Everybody's happy. Evil Geniuses is loving the state of things right now.
Maybe the only unhappy one is Impact, because we just reminded everyone that he had a couple early ins.
No, dude, that would make me even happier, because that just means that it's like, yeah, I died early, so what? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, what?
So what? Doesn't matter. Maybe a less good player, that would matter.
I like that. Impact is actually setting expectations very low so that people won't get mad. Well, here we go. Maybe we have a chase down.
A little bit of chunk onto Neo there. River tries to get away. Axe not going to chase him all the way through. EG try to make something happen there, but a disengage coming out from Dig. It will cost the heal of Biofrost, the flash of River. Of course, let's see if anything else happens off the back. Doesn't look like it. Dignitas just continuing to play defense as Ahri continues to split. It'll be blue in the bottom lane this time.
Yep, split is the hope.
Oh, but we're not done yet. Fakegod taking half his HP and damage. River looking to maybe find the knock-up here onto Impact, but only gets Q3 onto the minion. Blue and Jojo still here in the bottom lane. No, don't do this now! Okay.
Time for a deep breather. You know, we're getting a little off the rails here in this one.
What do you mean off the rails? We've been on the rails for so long.
The rails were boring. That's why we got off them.
I want to stay off the rails.
Exactly. Please don't put us back on the rails.
No more rails.
Honestly, you know what else that reminded me of with you know, Impact and like setting the like low expectations, you know, because
what do you got?
Okay, people won't get so mad now that he's like, look, you can't expect a lot from me. It's like when your mom tells you to do the dishes and then you do them, but you miss a lot of spots. And then he's like, what is this? You wash the dishes like a baby here? What's going on? There's still food left on these. He's like, well, I tried that. And then she doesn't ask you anymore because you do such a poor job at it.
Exactly. It's like when you have to do a report in school and you turn it in at the last possible second and you put it in the Courier New font. If you're in high school right now, listen up to this. If your teacher doesn't specify font, put it in Courier New every time. It makes it like twice as long. That font for some reason is just huge. Always put it in Courier New. But I will warn you, teachers, when they see Courier New, they know that this is an old school scam and everybody does it. So, but when you do that, you're setting expectations. Yes, I am a Courier New player. I will be turning in my papers in Courier New.
I would like to be graded on the curve.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
Courier New is there for a reason. And it's the reason for the season. And the season is called having fun instead of writing papers.
All right, we're going to beautiful look at
Twitch.tv/LCS is not responsible for anything related to education or the grades you may or may not receive in your educational courses. Thank you.
Hey,
we're back in the game. Hell yeah. All right. Now, let's see what we've got with EG going over to the Baron, as it'll be Dignitas shooting off the laser, trying to answer. Baron dropping somewhat swiftly, but not drastically, down to 5,000, 4,000. They're taking a low. They're going to burst it down before Dig can get in position. River's going to get slowed up there. Remember, no flash left in the Dignitas jungler. Blue has been left alone in the bottom lane, split pushing. Dignitas will send Jojo back to deal with her, EG will send Jojo back to deal with Dignitas's mid laner. Danny separated from the rest of EG. He'll try to walk back to the safety of his team.
This could be the chance. Dig got to take this
isolated.
one.
Okay, River's going to find him, but now River's alone. No backup means no shot. EG are just fine.
Those scrambles are the only thing that really pump blood back into your veins when you're you're this far behind. You see the AD carry running by themselves up the river. You gotta scramble on that, attempt at an opportunity. They aren't able to find anything there, so they're gonna have to reset and get back into base. But those openings are what can breathe life and excitement back into one of these situations, going on that chase. Live a little, Flowers. Take a blast cone forward. See if you can get an AD carry pick.
Well, they're continuing to pressure the side lanes. Fakegod got top lane shoved up. Blue was getting bottom lane shoved up. Dignitas is doing whatever they can to avoid these 5v5s like you're talking about, but it's still EG that aren't really feeling any meaningful pressure from it. Again, the inhibitors themselves are still standing, even if the tier 3 turrets fall. Dig has to get something more than this.
I don't think EG have felt meaningful pressure since the second time that Impact died.
I would concur.
Since then, they've been hard chillin'. What's the meme? They've been Bing chillin'.
Bing chilling.
They've been Bing chillin' over here. Just
Shout out to John Cena. He follows me on Twitter.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, John Cena gang.
Okay. Is he one of those ones that just follows like 20?
We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to worry about the fact that he follows 400,000 people. We're special. We are
snowflakes.
special boys. All right? We are.
Nice.
We stand out of the crowd. Anyway, Evil Geniuses currently have about 45 seconds until it's Elder Drake time. They have secured the last 1, 2, 3 Drakes in a row. I expect them to do the same here at this Elder. You can see Blue is marching up top lane for the Dignitas side. He has his teleport to join up with the fight if he wants to. But man, Dignitas, the idea of a 5v5 for this Elder Drake is so frightening, especially when JoJo has package.
Or is it exciting?
If you're Dignitas, no, it's frightening.
It's about how you react to stress, though, Flowers. If you just reframe how you view stress, you can turn it into an exciting moment because no one expects you to win. So
this sounds like what I would write in that Courier newspaper. I'm
trying to come up with Dignitas Party Bus Anthem.
Okay, we're Party Bus Anthem. All right, Party Bus Anthem is a go, but Evil Geniuses are just looking for that inhibitor turret instead. Blue's still split pushing there in the top lane. Fakegod just might die in bottom if he's not careful. Blue continuing the split here in the picture-in-picture. Are we going to get a base race? I don't think we're going to get a base race. Baron expires, so they don't have empowered recalls anymore to get back. Looks like we'll get an inhibitor trade. Blue will take the top lane in hit. Evil Geniuses getting everybody back. They want to make sure that whoever they send can at least complete their back. Blue is on to Nexus turrets, my friend. EG has not successfully recalled anyone. The Nexus turrets are falling. JoJo made it back. Blue now has to deal with the enemy mid laner as Fakegod's going to be taken low and taken down here on the bot side. Inspired about to die now as well with 2 different Guardian Angels coming up and bringing people back. Dignitas is losing the entire army. Dignitas has lost every single man here in the bottom lane. Blue cannot get through JoJo and his wave clear here on the top side. They got both Nexus turrets, but that's it. Blue has to make some sort of a hero play, but you're not going to kill Corki through Maw. Not like that. I expected something from Dignitas. They went for the play at the end. They tried to get the split push, but EG outmaneuvered in the 4v4, and EG will take down Dignitas 46 minutes in.
Hero play of the game, Flowers, is getting off a recall. Hero play by JoJo getting his recall off is the biggest moment here for Evil Geniuses. Whoa, that was an exciting end, honestly.
Yeah, I love the fact that Dignitas went for that because they were just going to bleed out Kai if they tried to 5v5. It wasn't going to work. They got both Nexus turrets. It was dangerous. It looked like they might have been able to stop all the backs, but just one was one too many. JoJo got back there. He was able to keep things going. Dignitas showed that they could get things rolling early, but it was just they ran out of gas there in the mid game. We didn't actually see that lead go anywhere.
That was the problem. They didn't fill up the tank this weekend.
The party bus didn't have enough gas in it, so they weren't able to gun it down the highway when they had the lead. The Corki scaled up, the Jinx scaled up.
It was all loaded up. They've got all the drinks, they've got all the lights, they have everything set up in the party bus, but no gas.
No gas in the party bus means an end to Dignitas' undefeated record here in regular season. They'll be at 2-1 now. Evil Geniuses also going to be sitting at 2-1. And hey, despite the fact that it looked like a pretty bad start for the Smite support top strategy this time around from Evil Geniuses, I'm not gonna lie, I was not impressed. It looked like they weren't able to get big enough advantages early, 2 deaths from Impact, but then it's just, hey guys, I'll say it, don't worry, we scale. And they were just able to sit back and let it go. Evil Geniuses bring it back. They'll defeat Dignitas. So now we're going to be joining LeTigress and Impact for our Verizon postgame interview.
Thank you so much, Captain Flowers. We got to see the Smite Enchanter top once again, but from a different team. I am joined by Impact. Why did EG decide to bust this out today?
I thought that this enemy team come and maybe not bad to try. That's I thought and try that and might be like in 30 minutes, might be like I'm on jump list. Like I'm just looking map, looking enemy champion, and I don't know what to do. And I was fine because Corki power pump, like Corki keep catching side, both side lane, and Olaf catch side. So yeah, we know that we're gonna win late game, but might be like boring, you know?
You did bring that Corki out actually, and this is on 12.3. So do you still feel like this pick is viable and offers a lot to the comp?
I think so. I mean, Corki just strengths his package too, but to me, poke is really big. I mean, when Corki got 3 core, I don't know how can play game.
And the thing about any of these games where we have seen the Smite top is they go quite the distance. There's a lot of back and forth, which makes sense with the new strategy, right? So what is the greatest difficulty in getting the victory, especially when it's so close like it was in the end of this one?
I mean, it's not, I mean, to me, bored, even mid, because I don't know what I did. I just give shield. But, I mean, I just want to tell the lie of both top lane freeze, you know? I'm just, you know, like doing freeze both top, you know?
So even if it's boring, then you think the victory is more important than having a good time?
Of course. I mean, if you lose, I mean, this feeling better than C9 game, so.
Yeah, well, you do have the opportunity to have a 2-0 this week as opposed to the 1-1 of last. 100 Thieves are your next opponent, though. How do you think things are going to go down?
They looks strong last week, so I mean they play like basic step, like playing to Hoverjack and just looking bite. But I think we can win that. But yeah, I guess I'm playing my top again, so let's see.
Well, yeah, we'll look forward to it. We'll keep an eye on what you end up locking in that Impact. Thank you so much for stopping by. More for us to break down on this game. Let's head on over to the State Farm analyst desk.
Thank you so much, LeTigress. 3-0 now is the Smite top lane in the LCS. It's broken. It might be ugly, but it's broken. This game, though, I don't.
Ugly and effective.
We prepped you on how bad that was. You had the opportunity to not say that, and then you did. But we had a base race here to close it out. I'm left wanting a little bit for Blue to have gone for it. Really, he just needed to make a choice. Either you go for the win in the base race, or you need to really back off and attempt the defense. One of the two. He did neither.
Shifter did it. Look, he probably doesn't know what's happening bot side, so he's like, I have another chance at this. He sees his team gets wiped. He's like, oh, snap, I could have
Someone's got to be communicating. They were losing that fight for a solid 15 seconds. I was losing my mind, being like, dude, you have to go. Someone just has to be like, we're getting wiped. Blue, do something. You know, like, I don't know.
It just looks bad because that Corki's going to pop you.
But, I mean, you probably lose it. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying Blue was going to win the game if he played correctly, but you want to see the attempt.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, you're going to lose anyway in that situation, right? So, like, why not go for it?
Yeah, go for it because you're going to lose if you don't. So you may as well lose while trying. Either way, an exciting game from the perspective of getting to see another Smite top. And at first, I want to talk about why it is that maybe EG came in with this Karma Smite, because we were talking a little bit, Emily, about specifically the matchup team-wise.
So Dignitas has already shown previously that they have a pretty strong understanding of how to play Kate Lux. So, you know, where they're getting all of those early turrets quickly, this looks like a very comfortable composition for them. Zhao, you can do effectively the same things that you can as a Jarvan, where you're affecting your lanes early and you're leading your team that way. And so into something like that, you attack bot lane so aggressively, you don't have the push in bot. So it's not a bad strategy against what Dig have been doing thus far.
That combined with the fact that the Karma was a flex pick, so they saw it early. The Renekton's taken blind because at that point, you know, Fakegod still doesn't know if he's about to get counterpicked and try to get slammed in lane. And then as a result, you have a Renekton who's getting hella farmed and fed from turret plates and free CSing. And no offense to Fakegod, but he's not the carry of this team. He's always the weak side player. So when it's a Renekton champion and, you know, Fakegod in particular gets really ahead, it doesn't actually really scare you for Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, and so like, I will start this off, as you can see from the footage, that it wasn't starting out well in the strategy.
I mean, Impact himself said that in the interview, right? He's like, I didn't know what I was doing here.
So it was definitely hard. And so,
I'm a mid laner.
This one was interesting to me. Yeah, he does get to see Karma taking the wave mid, so like he gets to see him ult past the terrain to pick up the Karma. So Karma was dying a little bit early. Also, 4 minutes into the game, the Jinx takes a pretty poor trade. So Danny actually has to base, lose a full minion wave and everything. So like your bot lane's behind, your Karma is dying a little bit, but it don't matter. Because as the game goes on, she gets back into it.
But that's why I wanted to show it, right? Because this is yet another example of the Smite top team digging a bit of a hole, right? Stumbling, and then but still managing to navigate through a mid game that kind of gets stalematy, right? And ultimately, the way they did it is very interesting.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about who got funneled in this game, right? Because typically when we see EG give their CS past 15, it's to, or CS percentage past 15, it's to Danny. And he's catching a lot of those side waves. But as Impact even said for me in the interview, I promised I was going to bring this up before he said it.
There we go.
It's Olaf who's catching all that farm. So Inspired and jojopyun are the two catching side waves. And you could see later on when that Olaf is going in and buffed by a Karma, it was killing him.
So first we take a look at Danny's perspective, because as you mentioned, a lot of times in previous games we're looking at, okay, here's an AD carry building a ton of advantages, and to your point about dealing with that Caitlyn Lux lane, took some bad trades, is definitely finding himself in a hole. But by 14 minutes, okay, great. We're starting to claw that back.
Yes.
But now we jump forward to that post 15-minute mark where it really did start to slow down as a game, inspired on the Olaf being the choice ultimately for the team to funnel those resources into. You can empower that with the Karma later in the game, and you start to reap the rewards.
I think that's the key part about this strategy. Is we talked so much about the early game. You should be controlling the neutrals. You should be snowballing your bot and mid. But even when things go wrong, you're still funneling gold more effectively into better scaling champions like Jinx, like the Corki, and even an Olaf becoming a fat meatball that can just charge in there and not worry about poke is a huge advantage. So the amount of farm that they got onto Inspired was absolutely critical for why they could come back in this game after falling 4,000 gold behind.
And it kind of brings us back to week one. FlyQuest is a team that was going for Jhin in this strategy, right? And so it did have a cap at a certain point. But as you can see here, 22% in terms of like the CS percentage that he was able to get. Anyways, it kind of like, much like what we got to hear from Impact, he was the one catching waves alongside Corki. So the point that I'm making here is that, yeah, two damn strong hyper carries in Jinx and Corki, that now you just feel that you are going to win team fights, that Renekton's going to have a real tough problem, even though he was farmed early, to impact these fights.
Fun fact: the only one of the junglers who would be higher than him would be Blabber, Pridestalker, and Jose Deodo, who were
also,
all funneled by their teams and their strategies. So
I also just it feels made even more effective by the fact that it was an Olaf pick into this composition, because you're thinking charm, you're thinking binding from Lux, and the ability to say, I'm going to put a shield on you, you're going to ult, and you're going to run face first through all of that and go put pressure onto the back line, makes those team fights very hard to navigate for a Caitlyn, for an Ahri, whose damage definitely starts to fall off as compared to the the Corki and the Jinx. Final point?
That's why I liked the adaptation Blue went for as the game went on, that they couldn't contest for Drakes anymore. He just put himself on side lane. Of course, it didn't work out because they already accelerated.
Helps when JoJo kills Biofrost before a dragon with the poke rockets. JoJo had a great game.
I love it. The 1-0-1 player of the game. It was an interesting game because it was, relatively kill-less, but ultimately EG navigates their way to a victory to land at 2-2 in their scoreline. On the other side of this break, though, Immortals is hopping back onto the stage in a hunt for their first win against the reigning champs in 100 Thieves. We'll see you here.
Impact, though, gonna have to
Flash! Nicely done. Flash for Flash, and the follow from Blue means first blood.
With the direction that Ahri's headed.
Blue, you're in trouble, buddy, and he's gone. EG with control over the river. They are totally unafraid. Biofrost just died. The ulti there just to survive does the same thing with his flash, and neither one of them means a damn thing. River's out of the picture. Kobe, I smell something. That smells like Baron.
What's going on?
Jake from State Farm, the perp just confessed. I think. I don't know.
What?
Oh, can't afford streaming anymore, so here we are.
Oh, don't give up what you love. State Farm has options to personalize your policy so you get a rate that fits your budget.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
The subtitles would be nice.
For surprisingly great rates that fit any budget, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.